After we chased them out, nobody wanted to say anything. All the suspicious ones had been driven away. Even though we knew there might be some innocents among them, we still did it. We chased them out of this paradise, where people don't have to suspect each other. But our motive for chasing them out was suspicion of one person towards another, the worst kind of crime for a human. If we'd accepted the existence of a 19th person, of the witch, then we all might be still talking face to face, trusting each other. In that instant, we had agreed to chase out all of the suspicious people, but had that been the right thing to do? During this endless silence, we could do nothing but be quietly tormented by that sin. Natsuhi faced the door, without letting go of her rifle, even for an instant, sitting far back in the sofa. Fuck, that's me right now. She would probably spend the night staring at the door without a wink of sleep. Georgianiki gazed through a gap in the closed curtains by the window, looking down at the courtyard and the mansion that surrounded it. I didn't know whether he was checking to see if a suspicious shadow would become visible through the window, or whether he was wondering to himself about something. Jessica was sitting sideways on the sofa next to Aunt Natsuhi, with a dead expression on her face. And every once in a while, as if she just remembered something, she'd take out the inhaler she'd used during her asthma attack and stick it in her mouth. I had just heard it from Aniki, but apparently Jessica liked Kennen-kun. It was apparently so vague that she hadn't realized it herself. You know, it's that kind of thing other people tend to spot before the person in question realizes it. Which means, she might have first learned of her feelings when the person she liked died. It must have been so terrible, so sad. Come to think of it, Kennen-kun was the one who handed her that inhaler. Maybe she was remembering that. I was fishing around Grandfather's study, thinking I'd researched the meaning of the magic circle on the second letter sheet. Even though we were shut up in here in a defensive position, my rebellious nature made me want to find some key, some way to resist. After all, we've got plenty of time before tomorrow morning. Who could fault me for how I used that time? No one else showed that much interest in this magic circle. Its meaning was unknown, and once we understood it, we were sure to find some message that would cause us unnecessary anguish. I felt the same way. However, I couldn't just ignore it, so I killed time by going through the motions of researching it.
You sure are enthusiastic. Did you find anything that might serve as a hint?
Not a thing. The first tough part is finding a book written in Japanese. Just how many languages could Grandfather read? He's incredible.
Aren't you tired, Battler-kun? You should take a rest while someone else stays awake. Natsuhi said she stayed up all night for us, but there's no way her body can handle that. We should take turns sleeping.
Then you sleep first, Aniki. I'll keep researching till I get sleepy.
You mean that magic circle just now?
Yeah. You've got plenty of time to kill. I thought it'd be interesting to find out what kind of message Beatrice-sama put in it.
Give it a rest. Mess around with stuff like that, and you'll end up getting possessed by something weird.
Don't worry. I've been certified by Maria. She said I've got no spiritual talent at all.
Were we too cruel to Maria?
Oh, I'll assume that's Natsuhi then. Jessica, you mustn't think that now.
But Mom, if Maria wasn't involved and there's a culprit besides her, then she's obviously a soft target for the murderer. If she's killed because of this, then we've just left her to die.
A gloomy silence settled once again. Looked like Jessica regretted letting her emotions take hold of her and snapping at Maria. She's always been like that. Always acting tough and regretting it later. I can understand how you feel, but Maria was in close contact with the culprit. And she might have been siding with them, talking like that over and over to further confuse matters. I am relieved that we chased them out. That's pretty harsh on Natsuhi. Couldn't it just been the nonsense of a 9-year-old girl? It probably wasn't very convincing to hear that coming from me. I myself thought Maria was creepy on several occasions, even doubting her true nature. And when Maria was chased out of this room, I couldn't deny I'd felt some relief. If that's the case, then tomorrow we will apologize for what we did. I will take full responsibility for chasing them out of this room. This isn't something the rest of you have to worry about. I could feel a tragic determination in Aunt Natsuhi's words. To protect her daughter, she had resolutely chased out the suspicious ones. And if, as a result, she had to watch the people who had unfortunately been suspected die, so be it. she was prepared to take full responsibility. Why does Maria have to keep saying stuff like that? She's bringing about her own ruin.
I think the reason Maria-chan adores the witch and magic so much might be Aunt Rosa.
Aunt Rosa? What does she have to do with this?
Didn't you realize it too, Battler-kun? Maria-chan's real father ran off somewhere a long time ago. Although Aunt Rosa tried to confuse the issue by saying he's on foreign business trips.
Talking about Rosa-san's family has become kind of taboo in the Ushiromiya family.
I think Aunt Rosa thought about remarrying. But I also believe Maria-chan may have become her shackles and made that quite difficult. After all, sometimes she got really emotional and hit Maria-chan. I agree with you there. It looked like Aunt Rosa was trying hard to like Maria, which means that she didn't really like her. She might have thought of Maria as someone who stood in the way of her remarrying. I think that emotional rejection from her mother must have left some deep scars on her young heart. So she learned about this occult hobby from somewhere and immersed herself in it to bury the holes in her heart. Did you know? Maria-chan, the image of a witch, isn't negative at all. Remember yesterday at the beach when she showed us her notebook?
Yeah, it was full of all those fun-looking scribbles. Yesterday, when we were down by the beach, doubting the witch, Maria got all riled up and started explaining about witches. And not one of those pages had shown us a picture of an ugly witch. They were all brightly colored, beautiful, cute witches who looked like they were having fun. There was absolutely nothing sinister about them, like a boy might have imagined. They were beings adorned with beautiful dresses, who could grant anyone's dreams with their mysterious magic, and who made everyone happy. Maria felt the sorrow of not being loved by her mother. Had she sought help from witches as beings who could help give her happiness and save her? Someday, a witch would come, and by using her wonderful magic, would bring Maria happiness. Even though she'd believed that, as she grew older, she had to face the reality as her fleeting dreams were sliced to ribbons one by one. If something claiming to be the witch of Rakenjima appeared in front of a girl like that, whispering that she'd take Maria to the Golden Land, where Maria could be happy.
Now that it's come to this, I want to confess what's in my heart.
I'm the killer.
I love Shannon. Did you guys know that?
Too bad she's dead. Throwing out Maria-chan, no, Genji-sen and the rest too, was probably the wrong thing to do, I think. Ooh, who would have thought? It wasn't pleasant.
Since Jessica had been the one to face them and slam them with words of rejection, her conscience must be tormenting her a lot right now. Then how do you explain that letter? No one could have said it there except for the 4 people standing behind us. I made sure of that with my own eyes. If those 4 are innocent, how was the letter placed in a closed room with 8 people? That's right. When you put it that way, those 4 really do seem suspicious. But it's all useless. Ugh, it's all useless.
Unless, what is? Useless.
Right. Might not be worth anything anymore, but let me spin the chessboard around again. In other words, if one of those 4 really was the culprit, isn't that weird?
That's right. Wasn't setting the letter openly on the table the same as confessing that one of them was the culprit? You're right, that's weird. If they were going to do it, you'd think they'd put it in the crack of the door, for example, to make it look like someone had slipped it from the outside. Of course, they should have known that they'd be suspicious if they didn't make it look like the culprit was outside the room.
Yeah, that's it exactly. If the culprit was one of those 4, setting that letter right in the middle of the table would be both risky and meaningless. But putting aside whatever trick was used to set it there, if we assume that the culprit is someone other than those 4, in other words, someone who was outside the room, then they had a lot to gain from that letter. Enough, Battler-kun. It's meaningless to discuss such matters now. Natsuhi-san quickly guessed what I was getting at. No, maybe she had thought of it long before I had, and had simply held her tongue. If the culprit's outside the room, then they'd be totally stuck the moment we shut ourselves up in a closed room like this. That's right. It's the same as my theory about how Grandfather disappeared from this room, isn't it? The theory that was Grandfather left the room of his own accord. If the culprit used some tactic to lure him out, but Grandfather left of his own accord, then... Come to think of it, When we found the scorpion's magic circle on the doorknob of the study, Maria said it herself. Beatrice couldn't get through this door, but she could induce someone to leave of their own accord.
Which would mean we fell for the culprit's trap completely. And sent out some new potential sacrifices.
Genji-san and the rest aren't fools. When they try to protect themselves, they should find the next safest place after this room. They will definitely be able to hide themselves there. Aunt Natsuki hadn't answered the question. Aunt Natsuki herself had realized that if the culprit wasn't in our group back then, then the letter would be sent as a trap. However, it wasn't worth the risk of calling back the people she had once thrown out. To Aunt Natsuki, right now, her greatest and only duty was to protect the children, but like fuck Maria, I guess. By her thinking, in order to do that, a few sacrifices were unavoidable. Hey, Aunt Natsuki, let me say something a little harsh, okay? At that time, what if, by coincidence, Jessica had also been standing behind you? Would you have chased Jessica from the room too? It's true that a lot of brutal things have happened, but as a mother, you thought you should protect your daughter no matter what. Because of that duty, you chased them out, even though you knew that you'd eventually be held responsible for it. It's not like I'm condemning that, but, I was just thinking about what a great mother Jessica has.
That's right. You've been dealing with these incidents since morning. And you've been pulling all of us along this whole time without losing your composure. If you were all confused too, the rest of us would probably be in the culprit's grasp by now. So I think we all have to thank you.
Thank you.
So what you two are trying to say is that you want her to act as Maria's mother too? I always thought of Maria as a real little sister and adored her. And yet, a few things happened. We got a little confused. I've said a lot of mean things to her, hurting her. Mom, please. Let's stay together with Maria. No, everyone. There was no culprit amongst us. The culprit in this case is the witch Beatrice, okay? So, let's stop suspecting each other.
Aunt Natsuki closed her eyes for a short while. Was she coping with her throbbing headache again, or was she thinking of something? You are my precious daughter, the one I finally received a whole 12 years after I married my husband. I would become the worst kind of demon to protect you. That was some pretty strong language at the end there. She realized very well that her words were an idealized view of what a mother should be, but even so, she was strongly resolved to protect her daughter, even if she had to become a demon. But that was her guilty conscience tormenting her. Today's been so long, and so many things have happened in one day. I hate Scott so much. And we've been driven into a corner so thoroughly. I wonder if we have the right to greet tomorrow the way we are now.
He's not gonna know you said that until he starts editing this.
Yeah, actually.
I love that.
Yeah.
There it is. I found it. Actually, I found it. It's this magic circle. Inside the book I've been flipping through, I found the same magic circle that had been drawn on the second sheet of the letter. Jojaniki peered at it as well. This magic circle's name was the third magic circle of Mars. The Hebrew written on it is from Psalms 77, verse 13 of the Old Testament. What God is so great as our God? The meaning of this magic circle was discord. Agitate internal divisions and cause the enemy to bring about their own downfall. Wait a sec. Seriously? Could there be a more fitting way to describe our current situation and mental state? We couldn't help but be stunned into silence.
So, this letter was a trap? How did they place it here? There wasn't anyone in this room except for the 8 of us, right?
Anyway, let's ignore how they got in here for now. The culprit was just after one thing. They wanted to spread the seeds of doubt inside this impregnable room and throw us out and use us to throw out the sacrificial sheep.
In that case, they're after the people who went out of the room. Mom, what should we do? Those 4 are in danger.
It wasn't surprising that Aunt Natsuki remained unpleasantly silent. Even if this was all a trap by the real culprit, even if the 4 who had been chased out of the room were in danger, it had nothing to do with the safety of the 4 people in here. And there was no way to prove the innocence of the 4 people we'd chased out. If we're willing to let them all die, then we shouldn't leave this room no matter what. That way is safest. At that time, suddenly, the piercing sound of a phone rang throughout the room. It was the antique extension phone set on the table in Grandfather's study. It had rung right after we started talking about the letter being a trap. It was natural we'd think of it as an SOS from the ones we chased out. But then, Aunt Natsuki spoke. What? Why a phone call? The phone should be broken down and unusable. That doesn't matter. If that's Maria-chan calling for help. If the problem with the phones was the culprit's work in the first place, then this call is probably... With that one sentence, the ring of the phone, which had once sounded like a scream for help, now started to sound like a ghastly lure from some unknown person. Aunt Natsuki hesitated whether or not to pick up the receiver.
Let's pick it up, Aunt Natsuki. The phone might have been fixed for some reason. It could still be an urgent call from Maria-chan and the rest. That's right! And if it actually is a call from the culprit, bring it on! Why don't we listen to what they've got to say? It's just a phone call. No matter what they babble through the receiver, it's not like they're gonna hurt you.
If you don't pick it up, then I will. I will take it. Hello? I stretched out my hand to take the receiver, but Aunt Natsuki grabbed it before I could reach. We all held our breath, trying to figure out who the other person on the other end of the phone was. But for a while, Aunt Natsuki kept saying hello. A silent phone call? There's no way Maria and the others would do something so creepy. Which means this phone call possibly really be? Aunt Natsuki kept repeating hello and strained her ears, because she thought she heard something far away on the end of this receiver. What was that? Huh? Is someone... singing?
What do you mean, singing?
I don't know. Faintly, from the other end of the phone, I can hear someone singing. I wonder what it could be. Give it here for a sec. Hello? I half forced the receiver from the stunned Aunt Natsuki's hand and pressed it against my ear. At first, I didn't hear anything, but because I'd been told about it beforehand, I noticed. It sounded far away from the receiver, rather than someone speaking in a quiet voice, and it sounded like a girl singing a song. That voice did sound like Maria's, but that just made the situation even more inexplicable. At the very least, the one who had made the phone call hadn't been Maria. After all, Maria was singing some song far away from the receiver. In that case, the one who made the call should have been Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, or Dr. Nancho. And yet, they weren't saying anything. Why? For what reason? The person who made this phone call. Who was it? Hey, hello? Who is it? Answer me! Is that Maria singing? Answer me!
What's happening? What is this?
I don't know. All I can say is, this is probably a trap. And Maria's in trouble. Aunt Natsuki took the receiver again, but after yelling into it several more times, she realized she wasn't getting anywhere and hung up. After that, she dialed quickly. Then she clicked her tongue. That's right. The phones are working. We should be able to reach the police. But judging by Aunt Natsuki's reaction, the outside telephone line still didn't connect.
Let's go. Even if we know it might be a trap, we have to go.
Yeah, definitely. Jessica, Aunt Natsuki, stay here. When Aniki and I tried to dash out, Aunt Natsuki stopped us. Hold it. I cannot let you go alone. I will go too. Jessica, wait here.
What? So I'll be the only one left out? Nice try, but I'm going too.
Yeah, it might be better that way. If the goal of the phone call was to split us up further, it wouldn't be a good idea to leave someone to watch this room.
There's no time to argue. Let's all go.
Aunt Natsuki raised her rifle and took the lead. I couldn't go unarmed myself. I found a 3-pronged candlestick and readied it. This is such a meme, actually. Although the pins on it were used to fit candles were a short spear, it was almost like a 3-pronged... Oh, wait, fuck, I misread that. Although the pins on it used to fit candles were short, it was almost like a 3-pronged spear.
Oh my god.
Honestly, fuck this kid. They get the goddamn
It's fucking
candle.
cool, actually. That's fucking awesome.
It's not, actually. Then the 4 of us left the study. We left the study, which should have been the safest place inside the mansion. By doing this, we'd been lured out, even though we'd barricaded ourselves in a safe, closed room. Perhaps we were doing exactly the same thing Grandfather had done when he disappeared from that room.
Maria, where are you? Answer me!
I listened closely, but I didn't hear anything. The mansion was vast, and since the passing typhoon was making its last stand, the sound of the rain was even noisier than before.
Maria-chan said she wanted to watch TV in the parlor, right? Let's try going downstairs.
That's right. Let's try here. Everyone, be mindful of your surroundings. Yeah! With Aunt Natsuhi in the center, her rifle readied and her finger on the trigger, we moved in a group, our backs together, checking our surroundings in all directions. It was just as though the magic of that magic circle, designed to spread discord, had worked. We had split up, and furthermore, had been dragged out into dangerous territory. In other words, even now we were doing just what the culprit wanted us to do. This was a separate world where it wouldn't be odd for anything to suddenly occur. Aunt Natsuhi nervously pointed the barrel of her gun at every dark spot and shadow. It felt like that motion was out of fear rather than caution, but the rifle she held in her hand should have been a trump card that the culprit feared.
You know, I've been thinking. It wouldn't be impossible to stick one of those ice picks into someone's chest, like in Kanekун's case. But splintering the skull and sticking them into the forehead, like in my parents' case, wouldn't be that easy.
You think the culprit had that kind of animal strength?
He got aim. They probably had some kind of weapon, a device that they could shoot or pound in those ice picks. That handle was too short to be driven in that deeply by a human strength alone.
K damage.
Either way, they have enough force to break through his skull. I heard that Kanekun's wouldn't reach as far as his lungs. If you happen to see your opponent, don't go forwards. You mustn't move away from my back. I know, he's so fucking cool. Just how sinister and frightening was the weapon that could shoot those creepy ice picks? And could I do anything to combat it with this just candle stand in my hand? In the first murder, the culprit probably assaulted all 4 of our parents at once as they discussed the inheritance problem in the dining hall. And there were 4 of us here now. Apparently, I wasn't the only person thinking this. George Anki, Jessica, and of course, Aunt Natsuhi were stretching their senses to the utmost limit, in the highest and worst state of tension, slowly advancing one step, then another. What have we done? Because of the seeds of doubt spread by that one letter, we threw Maria and the rest into the middle of this terrifying world. We finally reached the first floor. The parlor was just across the hall. We listened carefully. When we listened carefully, we could hear it faintly. Maria's eerie singing voice. She wasn't singing naturally, as though she were in a good mood. She was singing mechanically, like she was at a graduation ceremony and had been ordered to. The song she sang was just a common folk song, one that everyone had probably sung in school at one time or another. But why that? In the middle of the night, alone, with all her heart, over and over. Why? Right after leaving the study, we'd called out in loud voices, asking Maria where she was. But this time, no one said even a single word. We hid our breath, and the sound of our footsteps, and intensely focused on our surroundings to the point of being completely high-strung. We stepped forward. The door to the parlor was closed. We could hear Maria's singing voice through it. Aunt Natsuhi put her hand on the handle of the doorknob when George Aniki stopped her.
I'll open the door. Aunt Natsuhi, Battler-kun, ready your weapons.
Understood. Take care.
They might attack as soon as we open it. George Nissan, watch yourself. Sure, then I'll open it. Huh?
He tried to open it, but immediately felt the hard resistance of a lock. Natsuhi took the bundle of keys from her pocket and gave them to George. There were about 10 keys, and none of us had a clue which was which. Because of this, George had to fumble around loudly and test several of the keys. Since we had hidden our footsteps, preparing to make a surprise attack on the room, this felt almost fatal. The whole time, we could hear Maria's voice from the parlor, singing the same song over and over. It was like a broken, crazy cassette tape. We'd been in that room almost constantly since morning. All the frightening things had occurred outside that room. That had left us with the impression that only this room was safe. That baseless impression was quickly falling apart.
It's open.
Thank you. George-kun, Jessica, move behind me. Aunt Natsuhi, let's jump in at the same time and split up in different directions. If we just stand around after opening the door, those ice picks might fly right through the center. I agree. Ready? I really wish I could say no. I readied myself. If they're going to be throwing ice picks, I'll whack them with this candle stand. Go! Aunt Natsuhi and I rammed into the door before flying into the parlor, quickly splitting up left and right and searching the parlor for someone who might be waiting for us. But what our eyes landed upon was an incredibly strange sight. The parlor was stained with blood. This place, where we spent almost the entire day, where we pressed in together to protect ourselves from some unknown malice, had been stained with fresh blood, had become an ocean of blood. On the floor lay Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Dr. Nanjo, their entire bodies stained bright red with the blood. But the only way we could identify them was by their clothes. That was because, that's right. This is how the whole tragedy started. Their faces, just like our smashed-up parents in the shed. You couldn't tell where their eyes stopped and their noses began. It was as though they'd rudely plunged their faces into tomato pot pies all squished up. Ah! And that wasn't all. Their bodies had other wounds. It was those demon ice picks that were in Genji-san's stomach, Dr. Nanjo's thigh. No, his knee? And that's right, of course it's his knee. In the epitaph, the 6th twilight was the stomach, and on the 7th twilight, the knee was gouged. So after seeing one after them stuck in new Kumasawa Bachan's calf, I couldn't help but masochistically laugh. Ah, that's right! On the 6th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill. Ah, now even the 8th twilight is over. The next one, the 9th twilight. What was it again? Maria was there. She was facing the wall in the inner part of the room, standing stock still, completely alone. She faced away from that horrible scene, standing by the wall, singing her song over and over. There was nothing else in this room. Just the corpses of the 3 who'd been brutally killed, and the phone receiver, which was still off its hook, proving that this was the call. This was the room the call had come from. Just that and Maria, her back to the sea, and she was kept on singing while facing the wall. We couldn't even scream at this bizarre scene. We could only stare, shocked, with our mouths hanging loosely open. Maria! Jessica called out to her help, I guess.
Maria!
But Maria showed no reaction. Alone, she kept singing on and on. We had come here trying to save Maria from some approaching danger. But now that we found her, we should have been running up to Maria, hugging her, joyous that she was safe. And yet not one of us could do that. Everyone thought it, but they couldn't say it. After all, because that's right. Even if that's crazy. No, it couldn't be.
Maria, stop singing! Are you listening?
At some point...
Oh.
I guess. This is just gonna happen. At some point, Nazi and I pointed our weapons at Maria's back. I yelled at Maria in a violent voice, but there was no reaction. She just kept singing. With the candle stand still ready, I ran up to her and forcefully, violently slammed my hand down on her shoulder. Then I pulled on her shoulder, forcing her to turn around. Whoa! Ooh! Maria's small body was quickly pulled down and fell, and, as though unhappy at having her singing interrupted, Maria looked into my face with her usual expression. Even in this gruesome situation, she was just like normal. Maria, what is this? Who did it? Ooh! Beatrice! Cut the crap! I threw the candle stand I'd been holding against the wall. The violence of that reckless sound should have gone straight into Maria's heart, but Maria's expression didn't change at all.
Quit it, Battler-kun, Maria-chan. This time you should have seen the face of the culprit who killed these 3. Was the culprit the same Beatrice who gave you the letter?
Ooh, Beatrice. Well, in that case, it's certain. There was a 19th person. Beatrice does exist. Then Maria, will you at least tell me this much? How did they kill these 3 people? What did they use to kill them in such a brutal way? I don't know. How could you not know? It happened in this room. Are you trying to tell me that you were so absorbed in singing that you didn't notice?
Calm down, Battler-kun. Maria-chan, talk to me, okay?
George Anki, as he always did, crouched down next to Maria so that their eyes met and talked to her very kindly.
Maria-chan, why were you facing the wall and singing?
Ooh! Beatrice said to face the wall and keep singing for a long time. Ooh!
So, did Beatrice come here? Were Genji-san and the rest still alive then?
Ooh! Everyone came into the parlor together and sat down. Genji-san made sure to lock the door.
It was locked when we got here. But then, how did Beatrice get into the parlor?
Ooh! Beatrice is a witch, so locks don't matter. She turned into butterflies and came in through the crack in the door. Huh? Calmly joking around at a time like this? Like hell that happened. What are you saying? Can't you believe it? That's why I didn't want to say it. No matter how I say it, you won't believe. But Beatrice is a witch. She can do anything with her miraculous magic. That's why Beatrice doesn't care whether a door is locked or not.
And then, after Beatrice appeared, what happened to everyone?
Beatrice talked to us. She said grandfather's study was protected by a powerful force, and she couldn't enter no matter what she did. So she told us that she'd select 3 sacrifices from the 4 people in the parlor. Everyone said, no way. Kurosawa-san kept on saying, no way, no way. But Beatrice chose, and when she did, Beatrice said I'd be fine. How do you think? It's because of the scorpion charm with the 5th magic circle of Mars. And the one battler used to pray for my safety, the one he put his feelings into. Because of that power, Beatrice couldn't do anything to me, and me alone. so she decided to use the other 3 as sacrifices. After that, Beatrice spoke. I guess.
Yeah, that's you.
Come, face the wall and sing a song for me. You will sing lots and lots of songs. No matter what happens, no matter what you hear, you won't hear it. You won't hear you, won't know. Come, sing lots of fun songs for me.
So I was singing the whole time, over and over, so I didn't hear anything, didn't know anything. And then you all came. Ooh. Are you asking us to believe that? You think we're stupid? Then who will you suspect this time? Will you suspect me? Can you try killing me right here? Even if you do that, Beatrice won't stop existing. Now the 8th twilight is over, and Beatrice will revive. Are you serious? I've had enough of that talk. As if witches could exist. As if I'd let myself get tricked. I won't accept it. Beatrice doesn't exist. I definitely won't accept it. So I won't let her exist. I won't let her revive. The legend will remain a legend forever. I won't acknowledge something like that!
Quit it, Battler! It's not like Maria killed them or let them die. But Beatrice came, and Maria had to obey. Was unable to resist. Huh? Not to she. She isn't here.
Huh? What?
Mom! Where'd she go?
Just now, she left by herself, reading a letter. A letter? That makes sense. The culprit must be so exhilarated now that they've reached the 8th twilight. They might have left a letter so they could brag even more. We were so wrapped up in questioning Maria that we forgot to look for a letter. But even as well-armed as she was, why had she left that room by herself in this dangerous mansion after reading it? Jessica tried to chase after her and tugged at the handle of the door, but it resisted strangely and wouldn't open.
Mom! Mom! What's going on? Open up! Open up!
It was only natural. Nancy had picked up the candle stand which Battler had thrown against the wall, and which had fallen to the floor. She had then skillfully wedged it between the doorknobs on the double doors like a bolt, holding them closed. The intricate design of the candle stand caused it to get caught solidly, and it really did make a sturdy seal on the door. The tragic scream of a daughter for her mother. Did it reach Natsuhi's ears, or not? Me too. This is actually the end. Holy fuck.
Yeah, we're approaching. And now they're just the cousins now.
Natsuhi's figure. Oh.
Natsuhi's figure was alone in the entrance hall. It was the place decorated by the portrait of Beatrice.
This song's so fucking good.
Natsuhi threw down Beatrice's last letter, the one she had read in the parlor, raided her rifle again, and in a voice that rang clear, yelled in the massive space that was the entrance hall.
I am Ushiromiya Natsuhi, representative of the Ushiromiya family. Show yourself, Golden Witch Beatrice!
The entrance hall was dimly lit. Other than a faint light which shone on the center of the room, everything was blotted out by the jet-black darkness. In that darkness, butterflies glittering in gold squirmed, twinkled, and sneered. Natsuhi gave one more huge gulp and pointed the cold barrel of the gun at the gold butterflies.
So you have finally shown yourself. I still can't believe that something like you really exists. But that isn't a problem. Both I who bear the title of the representative to the Ushiromiya family, and you who claim to succeed the headship to the Ushiromiya family, are here right now. At this point, whether you are a witch or not is a trivial matter. Come, let us settle this. Which of us will truly succeed the Ushiromiya family? I, Ushiromiya Natsuhi, or you, Beatrice? Allow me to respectfully accept your request for a duel. If only Natsuhi was in that game.
I mean, is it just color for her?
You were telling me.
The gold butterflies slowly formed a human shape which walked into the dim light. Natsuhi readied the rifle and glared. The witch raised her golden staff overhead and laughed. Natsuhi's finger slowly squeezed the trigger.
And go!
Battler made an all-out dash at the door and rammed into it, crushing the candle stand that had been barring it and making it possible for a big gap to be opened in the door. He kept kicking the candle stand through that gap and the door was finally released. At that time, they heard it. They certainly heard the crisp sound of a gunfire ring out at once.
Mom! Mom! Jessica-chan, you mustn't run off by yourself.
Was that the sound of a gun just now? Did not Natsuhi shoot? At whom? At the culprit! The noise had come from the entrance hall. The entrance hall looked like a stage. Like the Is this you or me?
That's probably you, I think.
Like the heroine of a tragedy, on the ground and bathed in light, arrayed in a beauty that was the silence. Aunt Natsuki lay face up, crumpled on the floor. Half crazed, Jessica ran up to Aunt Natsuki. On Aunt Natsuki's forehead, it was almost as though a sparkling shard of pigeon blood ruby had been placed there. And from it, one stream of blood makeup passed by her eye and began to traverse her face. The faint smell of gunpowder smoke came from the barrel of the rifle Aunt Natsuki still grasped. Huh? Then she shot herself in the forehead? Why?
Mom! Mom! Ah!
I don't get it. Why did Aunt Natsuki run away alone? And why did she shoot through her own forehead?
Marie-chan, Aunt Natsuki left the room after reading a letter, right? There's no letter here. Damn it. What did Aunt Natsuki read? Why was she lured out here? I don't know. Who cares about that? What the hell? Why did she kill herself? Why did she leave me all alone?
Jessica clung to her mother's corpse, crying earnestly. My body was so consumed with an anger I didn't know what to do with, and I snatched the rifle from Aunt Natsuki's hand. I spun around, pointing the barrel of the gun into the darkness on all sides, as though I was pointing a light from a lighthouse, trying to find the culprit. George Aniki, even in this situation, was trying to calmly figure something out, but that might have been a fruitless effort. And only Maria was completely indifferent. So was this all supposed to be some kind of predetermined fate? No, that's not it. This is all a prelude to a wonderful world. The door to the Golden Land will finally open. On the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. And on the 10th twilight, at journey's end, you will attain the power of the Golden Land's treasures, once and for the last time. With this, everything is over, Beatrice. Congratulations. Congratulations! So lead me. Lead me to the Golden Land you told of. Right now! There, all the dead souls will be revived, and even lost love will be restored. Oh, fuck.
So in Maria's eyes, it's just as though all of today's tragedies didn't happen. It's as though all the time she spent deprived of love never happened.
Stop it! What's so fun? What's to be congratulated? There were 18 people on this island. 14 are dead. Only 4 of us are left. I'm definitely not going to die until the night is over. No, until the typhoon passes and the seagulls gather again at the harbor. I'm definitely not going to die. I'll stay alive. I'll stay alive no matter what. Give it up, battler. Guns are useless against witches. Survival and all that stuff doesn't matter, because it's over. The journey has already ended. See? Look at the clock.
You're fucking huge.
Huh? The clock? Hearing those words, I looked at my wristwatch. Both needles were almost touching near the top. Very soon, it will be 12 at night. In other words, 2400. I hate that. When you think about it, isn't 2400 a strange time? It can also be called 2400, and it can also be called 00. It's the hour of the culmination of the previous day, and at the same time, it's hour 0 as the next day begins.
It's fucking stroke.
Right now, what the fuck?
Beatrice! Oh, that was Maria, fuck. Beatrice! Maria suddenly called out happily and ran towards the darkness. It was almost as though Beatrice was somewhere in that darkness, and Maria was running up to her. As Jessica hugged her mother's corpse, as George Aniki stood there, confused. Fuck, where's print screen? Got it.
Oh, you trying to screenshot because it's midnight, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
too
sure.
late. Next time.
That's totally
Maria turned around, still clinging to the golden witch. She turned around. Didn't I tell you it was meaningless? Mere lead bullets are meaningless against Beatrice. Humans are so stupid, aren't they? I won't accept the existence of witches. Who are you? Just try moving one step. Just try moving one finger. I'll blast you away.
So you are.
Oh, that was both of us, actually. As the witch. No, the witches laughed. Even the large clock in the hall joined in on their laughter. It was probably telling us that the time was 2400. It was both a tone telling us that we had reached the culmination of this day, and a tone informing us that all had returned to nothing. The rule that the witch would win when time ran out had already been revealed. Battler, George, Nikan, and Jessica, the journey has ended, and the witch has revived, see? And none shall be left alive. The witch
The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. One shall be all the gold from the Golden Land. One shall be the resurrection of all the dead souls. One shall be the resurrection of the love that was lost. One shall be to put the witch to sleep for all time. Sleep peacefully, my beloved witch, Beatrice. We still have one more thing.
What time is it?
Look at that huge ass fucking clock. We
It's
know what
midnight,
time it is.
bitch. It's the 0 hour.
Yep.
And currently it's 12:02, which kind of shooketh me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty chicken.
So now it's the tea party episode?
Almost.
Mm.
Ooh,
Sign up with me, Scott.
The storm passed, and all the leading clouds that had enshrouded the island for so long cleared away. From the rifts between the clouds, sunbeams shone, and yesterday's storm seemed like a lie. Just as someone had wished, the seagulls returned to the harbor once again and let their lively cries be heard. Afterwards, the police came and conducted an investigation of the scene. The corpses of the children, who were thought to have survived until the very end, were never found. However, because of the body parts that were discovered and the unimaginably gruesome nature of the scene, the police were forced to conclude that the chances of survival for any of the 18, even the children, seemed hopelessly dim.
Turn it up. I love this song.
Just how gruesome was the banquet of the witch, and how beautiful was Golden Land. They were the only ones who ever got to hear that tale. No tales were told to those humans who arrived after the banquet was over. The best they could do was imagine what might have happened during those 2 days. However, the witch was fickle. She made a point of leaving behind this tale which didn't need to be heard, and it was allowed to spread. Then, many years later, a strange wine bottle that had drifted on the waves to the pier of a neighboring island was pulled out by a fisherman. Inside it was a thin, tightly rolled notebook fragment, written upon in cramped small letters. Written there was this tale. Through this notebook fragment, people will finally learn the truth of the mysterious and riddle-filled 2-day period that started on October 4th, 1986. This incident was later called by many names, such as the Rokenjima mass murders, or the 18 killings of Rokenjima, though dilettantes from around the world knew it as the Witch Legend serial murders. Lovers of the occult claimed that it was all the result of an immoral ceremony that had sealed off this island, and those 2 mysterious days were savagely embellished with many different interpretations as the story began to spread far and wide. However, not one of these interpretations approached the truth. Furthermore, while the notebook fragment describes this mysterious incident, it does not reveal the truth of what happened there. Or, perhaps even the writer didn't know what the truth was. According to the writer, her name was Ushiramiya Maria. And incidentally, as a result of an all-out police investigation, part of Maria's body, a piece of her jaw, was discovered. It was one of the rare instances where a corpse was identified thanks to dental records. At that gruesome scene, there had been many body parts that couldn't be identified as belonging to any specific person, so it's probably fair to say that this jaw was an extremely fortunate find. Because this jaw had been separated from its body, the police judged her chances of survival to be hopelessly dim, even though none of her other body parts were found or at least identified. And so let us conclude this tale with the final section of the notebook fragment that Ushiramiya Maria left behind.
By the time you read this, I'll probably be dead, although there may or may not be a corpse. You, who have read this, please find the truth. That's my only wish. Ushiramiya Maria.
To this day, the truth of the Witch Legend serial murders have not been brought to light. First game, Legend of the Golden Witch, result. Ushiramiya Kraus, Rudolph, Kyrie, Rosa, Servant Shannon, Servant Goda, died on the first twilight, chosen by the Key of the Golden Land, and offered up as a sacrifice.
Ushiramiya Eva, Ushiramiya Hideyoshi, died on the second twilight, pierced by the stake in the forehead by the stake of Asmodeus and the stake of Beelzebub.
Ushiramiya Kinzo, died on the fourth twilight, forehead gouged by the stake of Mammon.
Servant Cannon, died on the fifth twilight, chest gouged by the stake of Satan.
Servant Genji, died on the sixth twilight, stomach gouged by the stake of Lucifer.
Family Dr. Nanjo, died on the seventh twilight, knee gouged by the stake of Belphegor.
Servant Kumasawa, died on the eighth twilight, leg gouged by the stake of Leviathan.
The witch Beatrice, revived on the ninth twilight, finally opens the door to the Golden Land.
Ushiramiya Natsuki, died on the ninth twilight. The witch praised her nobility and granted her the honor of a duel.
Ushiramiya George, Jessica, Maria, after missing on the 10th twilight. After they acknowledged the existence of the witch and had prostrated herself, the witch invited her to the Golden Land.
Ushiramiya Battler, missing on the 10th twilight. Will the witch invite this man who denied her existence to the Golden Land? The witch will praise the wise and should bestow 4 treasures in the Golden Land. There, they chose to revive the souls of the dead and the love that had been lost. After all, no matter how large amount of gold they may have desired, it would have been out of their grasp. George chose his lost fiancée. Jessica chose the boy she had liked and lost. Maria chose the lost lover of her mother. Sleep peacefully, Beatrice. Let nothing disturb your slumber ever again. The winner is the Golden Witch Beatrice. Time ran out before even one of the 18 people could sell the rid of the gold. All 18 died. When the seagulls cried, none were left alive.